Hey YouTube, what's going on? Snowflakey's Emos here today with another deck profile. This is an update to my Legendary Ocean Stun deck. Legendary Ocean has of course always been one of my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh decks of all time. Been playing it since the Coderis Control era, but just been fascinated with water monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh! It's kind of funny, I usually don't go for the water theming in a lot of IPs that tap into it, especially fantasy stuff. But something about Yu-Gi-Oh! And their water monsters I've always thought is pretty cool. Legendary Ocean got tons of support not too long ago with really powerful cards that have turned this kind of away from the old Coderis control into just a straight up nasty stun your opponent out of the game and finish them off before they can get the out. Which, if you watch this channel, you know is right into my playstyle. So very happy to be playing it. And with that said, let's get into the cards. Starting with our monsters, I am playing 3 copies of Ocean Dragon Lord Karyushin. This card is incredible, definitely the main win con of this deck, and just an incredibly powerful card. 5-star 2000 attack monster. While Umi is on the field, each player can only control one face-up non-water type monster. So straight up, if your opponent's not playing a water type deck, this hurts them bad because they can only control one monster. You can really trap your opponent on a monster with this card. And it's very nice. That's not an activated effect, so if your opponent's already set up a board and you can get this guy out, they just have to, remove monsters until they can only control one face-up non-water monster. So that is pretty great. In addition, during your main phase, you can add from your deck to your hand one Umi or Karyushin spell or trap card or Sea Stealth spell or trap, and you can only use this effect once per turn. So that's pretty cool. That generates you cards every turn, gets you Umi if you need it, gets you the Karyushin spells and traps, which are very good. All just good stuff to have. And, for that reason, this makes this such a good card. We're playing at 3 because you definitely want to see this, and seeing multiple of it ain't bad so that you can play around Imperm and things like that. Next up on the monsters, I am playing 3 copies of Electric Jellyfish. Electric Jellyfish is a pretty sweet monster. It's got 1400 attack, 4 stars. You can send an Umi from your deck or face up on the field to the graveyard to special summon a water monster from your hand. So that's nice. If you have Ocean Dragon Lord Karyushin in your hand, he's 5 stars. You can't really summon him unless you have Legendary Ocean. But if you have him and Electric Jellyfish, you can just summon Jellyfish, send that Umi straight from your deck to the grave, then special summon Ocean Dragon Lord Karyushin, which you can then use as effect to search Sea Stealth attack. So very good stuff. And then of course, while Umi's on the field, when your opponent activates a monster effect or spell card, you can just quick effect negate the effect. And then this card gains 600 attack and defense afterwards. So that's pretty cool. Spell negation, monster effect negation. Now, of course, that effect is a hard once per turn of Electric Jellyfish, so we can't stack multiple Electric Jellyfish negates. But overall, pretty great card. Gets cards out of our hands, negates a monster effect, spell or trap. Definite 3 of. Next up, I'm playing 1 copy of Mega Fortress Whale. This card is definitely cool. It's a 7-star 2550 attack monster. If Umi is on the field, you can activate this effect. Water monsters you control can attack directly this turn. That is the main reason to play this card, because basically what happens is we stun our opponent out for a turn. If we can get into Mega Fortress Whale, we can just attack their life points directly, regardless of if they summoned anything, and normally close out the game from there. So really good. It does have a couple of other effects though. During your opponent's battle phase, quick effect, you can target a face-up monster your opponent controls and destroy it. That's pretty handy. And if this card on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can add to your hand or special summon a water warrior monster. Pretty fun in legendary fisherman builds, which I will have, but not too useful in this build. So mainly just summon him out to get his effect to attack directly, have an additional monster. This is our main target we're going to summon off of Karyushin's Dark Wreath. Next up for monsters, I am playing 3 copies of Warrior of Atlantis. It's a 4-star 1900 monster, but just has a great effect. You can discard this card to the graveyard to add a Legendary Ocean from the deck to your hand. Pretty funny card ruling too, because given Legendary Ocean's text and that the card always counts as Umi, there's this card is Umi, that there is actually no card called a Legendary Ocean. So luckily Konami just says this card works, so that we don't have to worry about that technicality. And just is pretty useful. Gets us Legendary Ocean, which we definitely need, and any additional copies of Warrior of Atlantis could be a free summonable body to help close out a game. And last for monsters, I'm playing one copy of Giga Gaga Gigo. There is some cards and effects in this that allows us to easily summon out a non-effect water monster. So Giga Gaga Gigo is just kind of my favorite choice. It's got 2450 attack, which is nice. It's got 5 stars, so if it's stuck in my hand and Legendary Ocean is on the field, I can just normal summon it. And being a reptile is very nice because I can play it with there can be only one, and it doesn't interfere with any of the other types I will have on the field. So, just a natural choice. You can play either the bigger one if you're not worried about it getting bricked in your hand, or a Terra King Salmon, the classic meme. Very cool stuff. Alright, going into our spell cards, I am playing 3 copies of a Legendary Ocean. Legendary Ocean is a pretty awesome field spell. It gives all water monsters on the field 200 attack and defense, and water monsters on the field and in each player's hands have their levels reduced by 1. So that's nice. That makes all our 5 stars 4 stars so that we can normal summon Ocean Dragon Lord or Giga Gaga Gigo, something like that. And of course the big thing is having this card be named Umi is going to synergize well with our effects. We're definitely playing 3 of this because we can go through multiple of them. We definitely want to see this card. So I am definitely playing 3 of it. Next up, I got 3 copies of Fish Sonar, our main searcher in the deck. This card adds a level 7 or lower monster from the deck to your hand that mentions Umi or is a water normal monster. And then if Umi is on the field, you can special summon a water normal monster from your deck. You can only activate this card once per turn. So this card right here is how we're getting out Giga Gaga Gigo. And of course this card is a searcher for our Ocean Dragon Lord Karyushin, which we definitely need to make sure we see. And if we already have him, it can grab Electric Jellyfish. All good stuff. Plan 3 of this card because we want to make sure we get Ocean Dragon Lord Karyushin on the field every turn, no matter what. Next, I'm playing 2 copies of Rage of Karyushin. This is a quick play spell that we can search off of Ocean Dragon Lord. If Umi is on the field, monsters your opponent control, you can destroy monsters your opponent controls up to the number of water monsters you control whose original level is 5 or higher. So original level is nice because that means if their levels are lower, it's still going to apply and can just be some removal, which is pretty cool. And then, of course, the monsters that we destroyed, the zones they were in, cannot be used by your opponent for the rest of this turn. So that's pretty sweet. We can only activate one of this card, but, you know, that's fine. We can search it out of the deck. We pop a monster, block off a zone. Pretty useful. Next, I'm running 1 copy of Sea Stealth 2, a continuous spell that says this card's name becomes Umi while it's on the field or in the graveyard, and your opponent cannot target water monsters you control with non-water monster effects. And at the start of the battle phase, you can special summon from your hand or graveyard 1 monster that mentions Umi or 1 water normal monster in defense position, but destroy it during the end of the battle phase. So that's not bad. We can get around that destruction effect and keep it on the field permanently with Sea Stealth 1. But the main use of this card is that we can search it with Karyushin, and there's a couple scenarios where we'll want this card because its name is treated as Umi, because we plan on using Karyu's Reef to get rid of Legendary Ocean and summon out monsters, and we still want Umi to be on the field so that the effects are active, and we don't have Sea Stealth attack to immediately put Legendary Ocean back in play. So just a handy little one-of to have for those scenarios. Next up, I'm playing 3 Pots of Duality. Again, getting Legendary Dragon Lord Karyushin on the field turn 1 is important. It's very important, and since we can normal summon him, playing 3 Pots of Duality is just helpful for us to make that happen. You know, we look at the top 3 cards of our deck, add whichever one we want, shuffle the rest back in, so definitely grab what you need to set up the luck. And last, I'm playing 3 copies of Pot of Extravagance, another deck here where we're not going into the extra deck for much of any reason. We're just going to use it to draw cards. We banish 6 of those cards face down, draw 2 cards, can't use any other drawing effects. No big deal. And that is it for the spell cards. Alright, next going into our trap cards, I'm playing 3 copies of Karyushin's Dark Reef. This card is crazy. It's awesome. I love it. We can send a face-up Umi you control to the graveyard to special summon up to 2 monsters with different names from your hand and or deck that mention Umi or are water normal monsters in defense position. Then, if your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon any number of level 6 or lower water normal monsters from your hand or deck. So that's pretty cool. Until the end of your next turn, of course, after this card resolves, you cannot special summon monsters except water monsters. So it locks you into water monsters, but that's certainly no drawback in this deck. So that's nice. We can pull out Electric Jellyfish, Karyushin. This is the best way for us to get out the Mega Fortress Whale. Just pulls out a lot more monsters on the field, and if we can do that, have Umi stick so that Ocean Dragon Lord's still stunning our opponent out. Get them to pass the turn. If we pulled out Mega Fortress Whale, we can use his effect, attack for a game. Definitely a great card. We can't search it, but I want to run 3 of it anyway because I want to see it, and there's plenty of other things I can search too. Next up, I'm running 3 copies of Sea Stealth Attack. Sea Stealth Attack is a great card. It's a little bit older at this point as far as Legendary Ocean support goes, but definitely one of my favorite cards in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! When this card is activated, you can activate an Umi from your hand or graveyard. So what's nice about this is if we played Dark Reef and immediately sent Umi to the grave for cost, we can immediately chain Sea Stealth Attack to it, putting our Legendary Ocean back in play as Umi, and that means all our Karyushin and Electric Jellyfish will have their effects online. So that's kind of what we're looking for there. And then, of course, while Umi is face up on the field, this card gains this effect. Once per turn, you can banish a water monster you control. Until the end phase of this turn, spell and trap cards cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effect. So that's pretty nice. It allows us to dodge our bodies being destroyed, which is pretty nice, and of course makes our continuous spells and traps indestructible, including the ever-important Legendary Ocean and Umi, which is awesome. And then, of course, at the start of the battle phase, if your water monster whose original level is 5 or higher battles an opponent's monster, that monster is destroyed. So that's pretty nice. That means if Karyushin can't attack over it, you can pop it with Sea Stealth Attack. That is very handy, and that effect triggers multiple times per turn. It's not just the first time in battle, so just a very useful card. Again, we can be using it multiple times, and we want to see it, so I'm playing 3 of it. Next up, I'm playing 3 copies of There Can Be Only One. There Can Be Only One works really well in this deck because each player can only control 1 monster of each type. And if a player controls more types of monsters, they must send so that they only control 1 type. The beautiful thing about the Legendary Ocean cards is that they're all sorts of types. We got Sea Serpent, we got Aqua, we got Fish, we got Reptile. So, we're not too punished by that card. And if we don't have the Karyushin locked, There Can Be Only One is a good backup option because at least if we have that, maybe we can stun our opponent out of the game long enough that we can get it set up. So just a good another option to have. And this on top of Ocean Dragon Lord Karyushin is just mostly unplayable for a lot of opponents to deal with, and that's what we're looking for. Next, I'm playing 3 copies of Solemn Judgment. This is here to protect our setup. Once we have the board set up, we can pay half our life points to negate a spell or trap card or a monster summon and negate and destroy it. So we just save this card for something that we see our opponent play that's going to out our Karyushin lock. Maybe it's going to get rid of There Can Be Only One. Whatever is stopping our opponent from playing, we don't want them to out it, and Solemn Judgment is going to help us do that. And last, I'm playing 2 copies of Heavy Storm Duster. This is a card basically for me in my matchups against the Spell and Trap card decks that are in the group. Heavy Storm Duster is just very nice. We target 2 spells or trap cards, destroy them, and in exchange we can't use our battle phase. Not a big deal. We're going to play it during our opponents, and if we destroy 2 or spell or trap cards, this card gains this card advantage, and that's very awesome. So, side this out if you're not running into back row decks in your group. But if you do, it's a good option to consider in a trap stun deck like this. And that is it for the main deck. So that is it for the Legendary Ocean Dragon deck profile. Again, we're not much to talk about in the extra deck. We're not really going into it. We want to keep our water monsters on the field because they have the powerful effects. So we're just using it as extravagance fodder. Just shove 15 cards in it and go wild. But again, one of my favorite decks. I really love how it plays. It gets a nasty turn 1 board set up and then can end the game quickly before your opponent can find the out to it, which is just the kind of thing a stun deck needs, is to lock them out for a turn and then close it out. Stun decks normally can't do that because they normally have to wait several turns to close them out, but that makes this deck a lot more powerful. Just pretty good options overall. Very much having fun playing it. There's so many cool variants we can do with Legendary Ocean 2. I'm going to be working on a Legendary Fisherman version, maybe in just a straight up normal monster version because I love those. So overall, very pleased with this deck. Anyway, I'd love to know what you think. It's an awesome deck. Love to know what you're doing with the cards. I appreciate you checking out the deck profile, and I'll catch you in the next one.